Well, and normally we start our meetings with an opening prayer. So I invite you all to just close your eyes, breathe deeply in and out, and raise your thoughts to our spiritual mentors, the benefactors of the group, raising our thoughts further to our Master Jesus, who is with us the moment we are connected and we are here in His name, and raising our thoughts to our Father in heaven. Dear God, we are so grateful of being here, grateful of having this opportunity to join together, to learn together, to share our experience. And we are asking you to inspire us, to protect us, to help us understand and help us to find the energy to also bring ideas into action. So be it. Yeah, let me share my screen. And I have a very short presentation to introduce for the introduction. So welcome to this European Spiritist gathering. The topic for today is founding and developing mediumistic groups. But before we go into that, let's shortly look at the agenda. So we've done the opening prayer, and I would shortly like to introduce our new European Spiritist Gathering program. And after that, we will have two presentations. The first one from Guilherme. He will share his experience, and the second one I will do where I share the experience we have made here in Germany. And we invite you to an open discussion. Please raise questions even during the presentation. If you don't understand anything or if you want to make an important remark, and later on, we really have time to discuss and also to raise concerns if we have. And finally, we will do a wrap up and a closing. Right. So on the 8th of September, we had a meeting of the new steering board from the European Spiritist Gathering. And well, we organized or we decided to, from now on again, organize regular online gatherings. And we will meet every second month now, and always on the first Saturday of every second month. On this time, 7 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Central Europe time, 9 p.m. Finnish time. So the start is today of this new program. And as you can see, there is a long list of topics. It's still draft because the future might change, but at least we have a plan, we have owners for it, we have dates for it, and this program lasts until middle of 2027 even. And today is the start, right? And with this, I would give the floor to you, Guilherme, to start with the first part of the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. I see new names here. So let me start sharing my presentation. Of course, it's not ready. Let me open that here. Okay. Let me share with you all now. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. If you do have any question, as Ingo said, you can stop me at any time, okay? This topic is directly linked to many activities I did in the past and today. I like this topic very much for the simple reason that a lot of people believe it's very complicated to do that, and I do not. Yes, we do have principles we need to observe. We need to have some guidance to make our path easier, but it's not impossible to do, and it's not too complicated either. So how to start a mediumship group? And as we move along, I will be giving some examples as it comes to my mind. We need to have in mind that we need to define some points before we put together one group to start a mediumship meeting. As Olga was saying earlier today, different people have different expectations, but in line to have something safe, we need to have some guidelines. We need to have some main aspects to observe. She said something very important. She is advocating the need to study first. And she is right to say that. But in some scenarios, I would study and perhaps start something else in parallel. Otherwise, people may decide not to start at all. But to a group that want to be part of a mediumship meeting, for a group that want to start a mediumship meeting, study is a must. I don't think we would like to go to a doctor if this doctor never opened a book, do we? I don't think we want to go to somewhere to buy a house if the architect never went to the university to learn how to make a calculation. So this is simple. We are prepared to make those assumptions in our day-to-day lives. Likewise, we need to do for the mediumship meeting. So it's important to study, not just to start a mediumship group, but through the whole process is important to study. Another thing that's very, very important is the commitment of the group. This is not a joke. This is not something that I'm willing to do when I have nothing else to do. This is important. We are playing with things perhaps we don't know yet, things we do not understand yet. Nevertheless, we need to be sure of what we want to do before we do. Because few points like you see here, frequency, responsibility, punctuality, preparation, is very important. And I'll speak briefly for about a couple of minutes for each one of them. Why frequency is important? Because if you want to do something right, you need to have a constant practice. You need to have a constant study. You need to be there. It's not like I'm prepared to do that today and maybe in 3 months' time I'll do another one. It's not going to work. If the group is not prepared to establish a proper frequency on the meeting, it's better not to start. Responsibility. This word is very open, but the responsibility I'm talking about is the responsibility amongst the members of the group and amongst our benefactors, the spirits that will be working with us. We need to be responsible. If you want to do something right in our personal lives, we need to be responsible. On the Spiritist meetings or mediumship meetings is exactly the same. Punctuality. When you decide to do or to open a meeting, define a day in a week and the time to start and the time where it should be ending the activity. When you sign your professional contract, you know the time you need to arrive, you know the time you leave your work environment. On a mediumship meeting is the same. Organization is a must. We don't need to overkill with organization, but the bare minimum level of organization is required. So if our meeting is Monday, 8 o'clock, Monday, 8 o'clock it is. After that, I'm sorry, but you won't be able to join because things are already in progress. And if you join, you may create some disruption. Preparation to participate. I won't speak in depth about the preparation here on this topic, but just to give an idea. If you go to a work environment, would be okay if you arrive over there smelling alcohol? If I have to receive someone, is that acceptable? Would be acceptable to go to my work environment under effect of any drugs? No. So on a mediumship meeting too, we need to be aware there are some guidelines to be followed. We're going to be dealing with two planes of existence, the incarnated and the discarnated. So we need to understand what is required, why is required, the consequences of not doing so, and the benefit of doing it. For example, if I'm a person that try to follow a good moral aspects for my life, that's very good. That will help you. The opposite may not work well in a mediumistic activity. Actually, will not work. No personal interest, including financial or self-promotion. When we go to a mediumship meeting, according to the Spiritism, following Kardec's guidelines, we don't want anything in return. We are not paid. We will not ask anything back. We are not expecting, or we should not be expecting, to be promoting ourselves. And nowadays that's very difficult with social media. You see people that are not paid, but they collect a different type of return on the social media because they want to be famous, they want to be popular, things like that. So we need to be aware that if you want to have the right spiritual protection to open or to be part of a mediumship meeting, those items needs to be in our mind. Just one question, Ingo. I have 20 minutes to do my lecture, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You do.
If I'm going too much, please remind me.
Sure.
Okay, so another point that's very important is define the purpose of your group. There is more than one type of meeting. Preparation for each type of meeting is a bit different. The degree of experience also. And you need to define, when you do something in our lives, we define the goals. We define what we want to do. Well, the mediumship meeting is the same. Because I put the main three types here. Development. That means I'll get a group of raw mediums that will be trained, develop their characteristics, their possibilities. We have a meeting that I call support meeting, is to give help, assistance to the spirits. They are suffering spirits that are in need of a word, they're in need of some support. And we have the disobsession type of meeting. It's very common to people to mix these three types of meeting and call all of them disobsession, and that's a mistake. You will see more commonly development and support meetings. In my personal opinion, if you are planning to open a mediumship meeting, you must be planning to have a support meeting. You may start by a development meeting, but the goal is to establish a serious and organized support meeting. Because why I don't want to have nice messages or any other thing in a meeting? I need to focus and give support to the spirits that are in need. And I put a comment on the bottom. The purpose will shape everything. So if you want to create something, define first what you want to create and why. I did something very interesting. I prepared these slides a couple of days ago, and my boss, my professional leader, is pushing me to work with AI. So I decided to ask AI to give me some help. I want to prepare a presentation about this topic, how to create a mediumship meeting. And he gave me some answers, nice ones. I used some of the answers, like this first one, key choices to make. Online or in person. Zoom is popular for spiritual groups. On the AI, on ChatGPT was written exactly like that. So I copied this one. Because we do virtual meetings and we also do presential meetings, but I found that on AI and I thought that was very nice. So yes, we need to make a decision if you want to do a virtual or an in-person meeting. If you can do an in-person meeting, great. I will advocate to have an in-person meeting. But if you cannot, for any reason, financial, geographical, or any other reason, you also have the option to do it online. To people that are not familiar with, we do both. And we do meetings online for 4 years, I guess. Yeah, we start in 2021. And we are now with the latest check I did with numbers. We were 1,800 meetings and counting with good results. The size of the group is also very important because we should not, especially if we are creating a new group, if you decide to create a group with 30 people, it will be very difficult to manage. Very difficult to manage. But if you create a group with 3 to 8 people, it's ideal to develop the group and to start with. Even if it's an experience, even if you decide to put together a group with the people with enough experience, start small. Create your core group to give you a good basis, and then you can grow up. That would be my suggestion. A development group, you can have more people. But when you go to meetings, then it's better to have less participants. When I mean a development group, I mean a study group. When you create a study group about mediumship, and when you try to do vibrations, when you try to do few things like that, it's fine. There's no problem. But when you start to do practice, mediumship practice, it's better to reduce the number of people. If you have, on the end of your beginning or your integration, whatever you want to call, you end up with 20 mediums, 20 potential mediums to start development, it's better to split in 2 groups. You can do that on a face-to-face, and you can do that online like we did. Frequency. This is something important. Define your frequency for the meeting. I would strongly recommend once a week, but won't be wrong to do twice a month. Won't be wrong, do once a month. But human nature, you need something constant. My own experience when I was helping a group that had bi-weekly meetings. Oh, I forgot this week was a meeting. I heard that many times because we do not create the habit. If you do create the habit of having every Monday, 8 o'clock in the evening, a meeting, the group will get together easily around that every Monday, 8 o'clock, I'll have something. So if you decide to do once every month, same thing applies. So my suggestion for people that wants to start a group, choose to do it weekly. Same day of the week, same time, every time. That would be better. Duration. There's no right or wrong here. I'm not trying to say that what we do is right, what other people do is not right. But I would recommend to work around an hour. If you cannot work around an hour, you already have a sign that you need to split the group. So you can work. There's a time to start. If the meeting starts 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock it is. This meeting can go a bit beyond that, 1:10, 1:15. But it cannot start not having a time to finish. We need to have things organized. An hour is a good time for a meeting. You need to remember that during the meeting, there is some fatigue that the participants will experience. And also, going beyond that, I would define the number of communications per se. Every communication a medium receives, you create some degree of fatigue. You will recover that, but it's better to establish a method. And my recommendation would be to have 1 hour per meeting. Again, some flexibility on the end, but I would define the number of communication or trials for each medium. I would define the number of 2 communications. It has been proven as a good number. Sporadically, we may have a 3rd communication. But my own experience, the experience of what we do, show us that if we plan to have meetings around an hour and having 2 communications per medium, we're working well. We have to remember that the person that is coordinating the meeting, he's responsible for the whole meeting. He is responsible for the well-being of the participants. We need to think about the participants, the incarnated and the discarnated. I'll mention here briefly a structure for a meeting. Opening prayer. I would strongly encourage the group to start with that prayer. Independently of the belief of the group, because I understand that different parts of the world may have different beliefs and different approach to prayer. Prayer is not just something religious. Science has proven the benefit of a prayer energetically and else. So it's better to start your mediumship meeting with a prayer. Don't need to be a lengthy one. It could be a couple minutes, just to bring balance to the group, to equalize the energy between the participants, and to bring a good atmosphere to the participants. We have here Gunter with us, and he was speaking about the doctors in Brazil. We do have now practices and doctors that are using prayer and other methods like that in hospitals, and they had good results clinically. So we do have to consider this not just as a religious topic. It's more scientific than you think. Really, reading a positive text. We recommend the gospel, but could be any positive text. If you prefer to do the Bible, do the Bible. If you prefer to go to a poetry book, a positive poetry book, so be it. It's something to bring you more together, to calm down the hearts and the minds of the participants. I personally recommend the Gospel, but any other book could be positive. Of course, you're not going to read a book that has nothing to do with what you're expecting on that meeting. You should not be reading a book about obsession. You should not be reading a heavy content book. But if you want to read a book about meditation, if you want to read a book about the Gospel, if you want to read a book about something positive, that's what we ask for. Then we start the practice session. The way we did for many years, and the way we do in our mediumship meetings, we do follow a sequence. The advisor or the orientator, depending on how you want to call it, the person that will coordinate the meeting, he will drive who is going to speak and when. So then he will ask the medium A, and everyone will vibrate to the medium A, and this medium A will give voice to two spirits, or he will write for two spirits or something like that. Okay? Let's assume we have 8 people on the table during the meeting. So after medium A finish, the advisor will send good vibrations to medium B. When medium B finish, medium C, and so on. When the practice ends, it's highly recommended to do a prayer. The prayer do what? If you are all together already. The prayer will kind of release any imprint that you may kept during the meeting. You bring your energy to a good level. So when you go home, you are feeling okay. You're feeling like I did my job. You don't have any bad feeling at all. A prayer in that case is also a way to thank our benefactors, the good spirits that assist us in the meeting. So it's also a common practice in the way we do on the Spiritism. After the meeting, there's a possibility. Some groups, they prefer to do some sharing and having some feedback of the meeting. Some groups don't. Recently, the way we do, we share our point of views, we share our experiences, our feelings. It's like almost a brainstorm session on the end, because on the end we can say, well, I was feeling this, and another person say, yeah, I had the same impression. I was feeling that as well. So it's always positive. Find or inviting the right people. I was thinking a lot if the right people would be the right sentence on over here. But I decided to use right people nevertheless. Because when we plan to create a football team, what do? We will find people who know how to play football, right? Because if you invite people who play basketball, volleyball, and football, the experience, the expectations on the way they do things may not work, right? So we need to find people alike so we can do something together. So look for the like-minded, spiritually respectful individuals. So we need to find people that have the same goals at least, right? Friends from a spiritualist church or development class study. Because I'm assuming that when I'm going to open a new mediumship meeting, I may not have spiritists around me. I may have to consider people that are coming from a different belief, from a different creed. So that's why I consider a spiritualist church or a study group, a development class. Local metaphysical communities. They learn, they study things as we do. They may not have the same perception as we do. They may not have exactly the same practices as we do, but they have a good basis to do it. Study groups, mediums books, gospel. In my personal experience, everybody, or good majority of people that participate on a mediums book study, they have something, some degree of mediumship. So that would be a perfect way to start. And the way I did, and probably in the future I'll do again, I will start from this. Oh, sorry. I will start with a study group, like Olga was speaking to us earlier today. Spiritists with Kardec's knowledge. Why I put like that? There's a lot of spiritists, but we need spiritists who are used to study Kardec, that have been acquainted to Kardec for some time to bring you some basis for the activity. Another thing that's also important when you invite people to come to create a mediumship meeting is to define the key positions. We need to have advisors, we need to have mediums. Advisors are the people that will be speaking with the spirits, will be leading the meetings, and the mediums are those that will be giving the voice to the spirits. And look at the tip. You don't need all to be mediums. Because when you speak about mediums, people always think, are you medium? Do you speak? Do you hear? Do you see? I may not yet, because mediumship can be developed over the time. So psychics, intuitive and sensitive people can also participate on those meetings with plans for the future. So we had opportunities in the past where people believed they were not mediums at all. But with a little bit of sensitivity, we perceived that they had some characteristics. And today they do a marvelous job. We need to create a safe space. Is that important? Yes, it is. If I'm in a group that I don't trust the people, if I'm in a group where I dislike the people, if I'm in a group where I clearly see that we have different objectives, do you think that's going to work? Very unlikely. Or we work with restrictions. So it's better to create a safe space where people will respect one another without judgment. People have the concept of confidentiality, because what we hear on the meeting is not to be publicizing to everyone. Because in a mediumship meeting, we help spirits, but we help ourselves as well. And sometimes we may have some spirits attending the meeting. They will come to speak to us about something we did or something we are doing it. So confidentiality is important. Something that I used to say very often, we are not in a rush. If you start a mediumship meeting, don't be in a rush. Let things take the time they need to take. I had experiences where I was working with a medium that he was for like 15 years participating on a mediumship meeting, and he did not give a voice to a spirit. After 15 years, he gave voice to spirits. And then I was asking the person who was coordinating the meeting, why? Because I'm a very curious person. Why? And she said to me, because we have other person to replace him on the group. We thought he was not doing anything, but he is a medium of physical effects, and he was giving the support energetically for the meeting. When another person with the same characteristics joined the meeting, then he was released to give voice to the spirits. So no pressure. We are not in a rush. Give time. Every person is different. I may have people that will be able to give voices in a month. I may have people that need a little bit more time. Protection. Do we need protection for our meetings? Yes, we do. What kind of protections are we talking about? We need to have our benefactors, our guide spirits. We need to have the minimum attitude towards the light to ensure that the meeting we are doing is serious, we have to study. We have to try to improve ourselves morally. We have to be attentive to ourselves and to others. So it is very important to create a safe space, and it's not impossible, it's not difficult, but we need to have that in mind. Let's assume that we will start a new meeting. How can I train new mediums? What should I do? How should I do? There is no right or wrong. But here are some tips that we can have in mind. Imagine that we are going to start a new mediumship meeting now. None of us here never had any experience in the past. And human beings, they are afraid about what they don't know. This is very human. Human beings are afraid about what they don't know. So I kid you not, people may be around that table pretending not to be afraid, but deep inside they have fears. Fear of the unknown. So for a first meeting, I would strongly recommend to do like an energy exercise. We envelop the person with good energy, good vibration. You can even do a prayer when that person is under the spot. So that will bring to him or her a good thoughts. He or she will feel protected. So it's positive. And after this vibration, that's it. That's our exercise for today. So then the person is not in panicking anymore. Wow, there's a spirit coming to me, you know, the spirit will take my body. There are so many questions people may have in mind. And then when you do that with the first person, you calm the first person and everyone else. Because everyone else was panicking too, or afraid, or with lots of expectations. No, you do the same with the second, the third, the fourth. On the end of the meeting, everybody feels more comfortable and they are more receptive for any other trial, any other exercise you may do in the future. For how long we need to do this exercise? For weeks if you have to. Remember, we are not in a hurry. After this exercise of energy enveloping the medium, you can ask on the end, what did you feel? You feel comfortable. You were afraid, you were panicking. What did you feel physically? People may come to you, well, my arms were tingling, my heart was beating a bit faster, my breathing was a bit different, I felt cold, I felt hot. Many different things people will say to you. And we say to them, that's very fine. That's exactly what we want. That's all we want. You to feel something, you to feel protected, you to feel part of this group. Another degree of exercise would be, let's try to make your guardian angel, your benefactor, your guide come closer to you to see if you perceive his presence closer to you.
Guilherme, another 2-3 minutes about that.
Oh my God. So that would be giving confidence to the mediums as well. Okay. In this exercise, we may have other spirits coming closer, but that's a good way to bring comfort to it. Next step. Let's try to make an approach of different spirits. Remember, I said 2 communications per meeting. So the first time we attempt to do this exercise, I strongly recommend to do only once. Remember, it's the first time. I'm pretty sure we all here were very concerned when we did things for the first time. So for the first time, you ask our benefactors in the meeting, please bring closer one spirit to medium A. You give a minute, 2 minutes. Okay. Thank you very much. Let them follow the path. On the end, you do the backup again with everyone, feedback with everyone, right? Next degree of exercise, you do that with two different spirits. You ask the benefactors, please bring one spirit with one type of energy. You do this a couple minutes, the spirit go away. Benefactors, please, can you move closer? Another spirit with a different type of energy, go away. On the end, on the feedback part, you ask the mediums, did you felt any difference between 1 and 2? What was your feeling? And you have good feedback. After that, then we go to psychography and psychophony as an exercise. But then we go as we go. My God, I'm burning my time. I had a very hard time finding reference in English for mediums and mediumship. So I found those 3 books in English. My top one is the Mediums book, for sure. But you do have another 2 good books from Chico Xavier. That's very good as well, right? So I'm not saying there are only those. I saw many books from different authors that were not Spiritists. So then to give them as reference, I need to read first to be sure that they are safe or not. But to someone that wants to start a mediumship meeting, those 3 books here will give very good basis to start with. If we go, for example, for books in Portuguese, then I chose here few with different aspects of mediumship. But back in Brazil, we may have 300 different books about this subject. The variety of information over there is massive. Here, just a quick one, we have 2 specific books that I love very much. Is Studying Mediumship, Mediumship and Evolution, and one is Speaking with the Spirits on a Mediumship Meeting. Because it's also important to study the way we should welcome and help those spirits. So I hope I did not exceed too much my time, Ingo. Here we go.
Perfectly fine. Thanks a lot. And well, my question goes to the audience. Is there any burning question before we start with the second lecture? Okay, if no burning question, then we start right away with the second lecture. Let me share my screen. Oh, stop. Right, so you should be able to see my screen now.
We can see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically what I'm doing, I'm repeating the presentation I did back in WACC, but we have different audience here. So it's about founding and developing a virtual mediumistic group, and I'm sharing the experience we had here in Munich in Germany. And well, I asked myself before I did this presentation, what makes this experience so special? And why do I want to present that? Well, first of all, and we started this new mediumistic group in 2023, and it was completely virtual from beginning. And at that time, virtual mediumistic meetings was not really that common to us, although I was already participating more than 1 year, but nevertheless, something new. Secondly, most of the participants had no pre-knowledge of the Spiritist teachings. And it's important to understand that in Germany, we do not really have many Spiritists. We have a number of Spiritist societies, but mainly all of them are basically driven by Brazilians who are working here or who are living here. Many of them expatriates. Number three, we included practical exercises from the beginning, because when I started back, I don't know, 15 years back, we started, I think 2 or 3 years, we only did study before we did anything on practicing. But here we started practicing immediately. And well, I will explain the reason later on. Number 4, well, we even started mediumistic work after the 12th meeting, so after half a year, after 6 months, because we were meeting twice a month, which is very soon as well, if you like. Well, and then number 5, we always left a lot of room for individual questions, and we never applied any kind of pressure. And when I say we, because I was one of the teachers together with a friend. Well, and our mentors, our Spiritist mentors, because we are basically, I'm in a group here, we have a stable group for more than 12 years, and we are very closely with our spiritual mentors, spiritual benefactors, so there is regular communication. And they said the learning of the people comes with the practice, and then the questions related to it. Because, you know, you start some practicing exercise, and then the people will ask, oh, I have perceived this, I have perceived that, what is this, what is that? And then you start explaining, and by explaining, they learn, and they would like to understand more, and then you guide them to the books, to the courses, whatever is available. And so that's how you motivate them to learn. That's at least the way we applied here. Right. So let me start. We were actually triggered by our spiritual benefactors into 2023, where they said you need to offer a new virtual mediumistic course, and simply ask all the members in the group if they know anyone who have interest. So we did not really select, and we didn't have the luxury to select anyway, because we are a small group, not many people. Well, then we did some kind of marketing. So we were sending out emails explaining what we were planning to do using WhatsApp. And well, the condition, we said we do it virtually via Zoom. So no location of residence matters. And it's open to anyone. So no pre-knowledge required. And the course to take place every first and third Monday of a month, always at 8 p.m. And then we conducted 2 information sessions where we invited people of interest, and well, many people were interested. And then we actually started the course in September 2023. And the moderator is myself. I'm a experienced spiritist, and I'm a mediumistic dialogue keeper, or some people would say indoctrinator. There are different names for that. And my friend, she is an experienced spiritist and a medium since birth with very strong mediumistic capabilities. So, and I think she and myself, we are complementing each other very much, because I'm more the structured guy. She's more from the other side. So really complementing. Well, and the participant in the beginning, 34 people showed up, 34 people of interest. But then about 15 to 20 students were joining the course. And now over time, we have an established group of about 10 members. So it seems to be common that in the beginning, there are many more people interested, but then it reduces to the ones who are really interested and committed. Well, and then the content. So from the beginning, we started with a combination of theory and practice. So theory and let's say the challenge of theory is you really start from the basics, right? Where you explain what is the spirit, what is a holistic human, and so on and so forth. So you explain everything step by step. And on the practicing side, we started with what is the meaning of prayer? How do you protect yourself? What should you do regularly? So we explain things like the importance of keeping emotional balance, the importance of breathing, then, as I said, prayer, the help of meditation, and so on and so forth. And then how can you protect your home and this and so on. So initially we focused obviously more on the theory, but then there was really a risk. And we were talking about the risk and also the dangers of mediumistic works, the importance of prayer and the practice, as I said, protection, imaginative light work, meditation, perception exercises, virtual laying on of hands, and so on and so forth. And the most important thing is always room for questions, because one is asking a question and the others will all learn. And then you have a discussion. So everybody brings his view. And then this creates a very good atmosphere where people really learn a lot from each other. And don't forget, there are many mediums all over, right? So the people who are joining, they are not mediums. No, they are mediums anyway. And many of them were just dealing with spirits already anyway, right? So we were giving them sort of the theoretical background of why this, why that, and the tools, how to deal with these things, especially when it becomes more difficult and so on. But well, as they were anything anyway practicing anyhow, so why not also starting to practice with ED cases and so on. Well, as said, during the first 11 meetings, we focused on theory and practical exercises only. And then we invited some of our more experienced mediums. And then we started like a first practical mediumistic session, like one communication. And even before that, we had one communication we had recorded from our face-to-face group, which was something like a typical case. How do you bring a spirit into light from a suffering situation? And there we could explain what are the mechanics, what's happening here, and what is the role of the dialogue keeper who talks to the spirit and so on. Right. So then from the meeting 12 to 29, we did alternate between one session theory, the other session was then mediumistic work. And after the 30th meeting, we basically have a combined session where we have always 30 minutes where we talk, where we do study on specific topics we prepare. And then for the remaining, we do mediumistic work. And this is, at least for us, it's a very good mix. And our sessions are not lasting 1 hour, they are lasting about 2 hours, 90 minutes to 2 hours. The issue is that when you have the discussion at the end, people want to explain about what did I perceive, what did you perceive, because this is giving them some kind of security. This is giving them confidence. Oh, what I felt is right. There's nothing wrong because because the mediums, when they do this kind of work, they are very insecure in the beginning. What do I perceive? Do I behave right? And so on. And with the experience sharing at the end of each session, there's a lot of help to for them to get confidence. Right. As said, we have an established team of 10. 7 of them are ostentatious mediums who work as incorporation mediums. We have 1 dialogue keeper, and the importance with the dialogue keeper is certainly you need to have someone who has a really solid knowledge about the Spiritist teaching, because all the mechanics and the discussions you have with the suffering spirit requires this knowledge in order to really help them. And certainly you need to have someone who is full of empathy, who understands how to deal with others and who has a certain, let's say, moral level as well. If not, it will be difficult. And as said, we always have a lot of communications every evening. And very often we also do some kind of exercise where we practice psychographics. So where we give room for psychographic exercises in the beginning. I hope my English is good enough to understand. If not, please ask later on. Right. Some notes from our spiritual mentors, because they were talking to the whole team through this psychographic notes. So they said to us, start practicing as early as possible. The necessary knowledge comes automatically about the questions that arise from this. And we do have a teacher in our face-to-face group, and he's confirming the same. He says students learn best with a good combination of exercising and then explaining. If you just explain and study only, you will lose all of them over time before you even start getting to the exercise. To the students, our spiritual mentor said, there are no coincidences. Everyone who is here has been guided here. In time, you will understand the reason. Don't be afraid. You are being guided lovingly. And this is exactly the case anyway for all of us. We are souls, we are wonderfully protected, lovingly guided through our way, through our course here on earth. So we can always be full of trust. The benefactor said to the students as well, be curious like children, don't be afraid, because many people are full of anxiety. Oh, there is the unknown, I don't know. The benefactor said, be curious, and nobody is alone, so there is always a helping hand and so on. And our benefactors also said, during the virtual mediumistic session, each participant who is basically working, sitting in his home physically, is protected by at least 3 spiritual friends or protectors. And in severe cases, so when we have dark communications, there are often even 5 protectors. So there is nothing to worry. Even you are working from home. And anyway, the moment we are in the mediumistic session, we are joined. So spiritually, we are combined sitting together. So there's nothing to worry about. And I can say there was never any incident that would have spoken against the virtual mediumistic meeting, not at all. So it was always safe. There was never an issue. Just some learnings and success criteria. Starting a group from scratch without prior training from the Spiritist teaching was not an obstacle, but a success factor for the rapid achievement of a stable mediumistic group. And I must say, we have people who have been doing shamanistic work. We have people who have done Reiki, this and that, and they bring the knowledge from these parts of the spiritual plane. They bring different perspectives, and then we discuss this and then we compare it with the Spiritist teaching and so on. And at the end, everything anyway comes from the same spiritual plane, anyway, down to us. So there is no right or wrong. It's very often just a different matter of doing this kind of work. And as said, it's important to start practicing as early as possible to make them stay and to, yeah, also, I think, to improve and to speed up the learning. And most important, be open and lovingly in the communication to the students. This is of particular importance. Never apply any pressure. Let's keep in mind, many aspiring mediums are anyway highly sensitive. And a group, and especially a mediumistic group, is like, you can say, like a therapy group, right? And in a mediumistic group with mediumistic work, we are growing much faster than in normal life because we are experiencing much more. We are learning from each communication with suffering spirit, and very often there are touching points to individuals where they find their own issues. And when they find these issues, they may experience trouble first to understand, to overcome, and then they need some kind of a helping hand. So at least as a teacher, I find myself uh, being responsible, and then I will always try to connect to them and see how I can give them a hand. And the combination with my friend who is a very strong medium, this combination helps very well to understand what is the issue and to help in the right way and to balance. Virtuality means nationwide support is possible and even beyond that. And we have just beginning of this week on Monday, we have started a new mediumistic group. There's one who speaks German, but she sits in Brussels, for example. She's joining as well, so why not? You can join from anywhere and it works perfectly, as long as you have a good communication and as long as you have a quiet room and so on, there is no issue. Okay, virtuality means the time required for the participants is limited. They don't have to travel anywhere. So they just dial in, and when the meeting is done, they don't have to travel back. So there is a lot of time you save. And the moderation team must be open and willing to address individual problems. In this respect, each group, as said, it's a therapy group. That's what I said already. So my encouragement is, I would like to encourage you to go new ways, try things out, leave the very strict rules and don't be afraid. Always stay in close contact with your spiritual benefactors. You will be guided. And if you do that, you can't do anything wrong anyway. And don't forget, a medium is communicating with the spiritual plane anyway, whether she's in a mediumistic meeting or not, whether he or she is a spiritist or not, whether he or she is a trained medium or not. So don't worry. And we all know there is a very strong need for mediumistic work on both sides of the plane. There are so many suffering spirits. And on the other side, we see more and more incarnated who have problems with obsession, who have problems with psychic issues and diseases. And the psychic disease always means there are a number of spirits around. They are always obsessing spirits anyway. Founding a new mediumistic group and enabling mediums for this work is really a great act of charity, because what you are doing is you are training the fishers how to fish, if you like, right? You are training people how to practice charity, and then they can do it on their own. So it really helps a lot, and it's important. And to come to an end, also the literature I used. And in German language, we even have less than in English, but there is a number. So, and I'm used to English lecture as well. So the mediums book obviously is very important, but also all other Kardec's books are very important. Well, there is one book from Manuel Filomeno de Miranda. It's called Mediumistic Meetings in English. This is good as well. There is one from Richard Simonetti. It's called Mediumship, All You Need to Know. It's also very good. There's one from Teresinha Oliveira. It's called Talking to Spirits in Mediumistic Meetings, also available in English. And there is a mediumship course, program 1 and 2, from the Spiritist Alliance for Books. And thanks to Tanya, I got it from her. So I'm still using part of it, but only as a guidance. At the end, I'm structuring the course the way I feel it's necessary, but these books are very important. Then there is a POMAP you use in the UK, so the Program for Orientation of Mediumship Education and Practice. And the last two are all available via PDF as well. Well, and then there is a book from Guilherme Diaz, the famous one. It's called Virtual Mediumship Meetings. And there are more. So the ones from Chico Xavier, for example, right? Okay, and with that one, I would end my session. Thanks a lot. And now